Somebody call a doctor.
I want a bigger logo. You can't handle a bigger logo.
Good day. This is the Dr. Branding Podcast. I'm your branding Dr. Frank. The surgery is open. Let's answer our next patient's question. Today it comes from Ellie in Australia. Should I be using AI in my branding process? Thank you, Ellie, for that question. Very much of the time at the moment. This might age really badly. Who knows? This kind of episode. We'll see what happens in a few years. But this is the hot topic that is going around in any industry at the moment. It's the talk of the town, and it makes sense that it's happening in branding, especially as branding is very much a creative component in it, be it for visuals, writing, sounds, and even analysis. If you're a brand strategist, AI can be used in all these different ways to help create or assist better branding. And I say strategist before because, a couple of years ago, the buzzword at the time was brand strategy. But here we are. It's AI now. We've moved past that. Now, I'm going to take Ellie's question a little bit more broadly rather than focusing it, because Ellie sounds like she is a branding services provider like myself. And we want to make this a little bit broader so that it can apply to business owners as much as it is branding service providers like Ellie. Because AI can impact all of us. Any different industry, even our personal lives, it's going to change a few different things that we'll do to improve efficiency, to improve potentially our creativity, to explore new ideas, to help solve problems, all these things. And we're going to see this playing out very, very quickly. It's exciting as much as it is scary. But again, here we are. And I say, this is going to impact business in many different ways. And I say impact because it can have a positive or a negative. The scary part of things is, jobs can fade away. But in the same respect, new jobs can come as a result of AI as well. There's always going to be evolutions of technology. Before there was horse and carts, then there come the car, then there might be the e-scooter or the flying quadcopters, whatever it is. There's always going to be a new technology that will make other services and products superfluous and move society forward in whatever shape, way, or form. Again, here we are. Diagnosis of this. Should I be using AI in my branding process, or should I be using AI in my branding, let's say? This is the term for it I'm going to just make up here on the spot is BrandAIng. Instead of branding, BrandAIing. I think that works if we get that. It's integrating AI with branding effectively, branding practices at least. And this is happening already. This has already become a thing for many branding service providers, as much as it is for businesses putting their branding out there. And I've done it in my own process as well to assist in how I do better branding for my clients. And I even did a survey of this for designers to ask them if they had created a logo using AI in any way, shape, or form. And 24% had. And this was, I think, in maybe March or April. So a few months ago now. I would be very interested if I put that same question out there again in, say, March or April next year, in 2025, to see what the percentage would be. Because I hazard a guess it's going to be much higher, especially as these technologies change to create, logos or ideate logos better and produce something that people can utilize and create better branding. I think it's an inevitability, and it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen. 24% are already doing it, and that was out of about 300 people that ended up replying to that survey question. And you never know. And I'll give you a scary thought here. You never know. This whole podcast could be AI generated. You might not ever know. I checked out of this podcast back in episode 5. You're just watching an AI bot or listening to an AI bot of my voice. Not really. For our branding, AI can assist us in a few different ways. to create better branding, we can use AI, things like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, all these new tools that are coming out, even voice simulators, transcription services, all the rest of it. This can help us with our brand messaging. Crafting messaging that is compelling, that can utilize our tone of voice and give us a bit of a nudge in the right direction, or just completely give us the messaging that we want to use to help communicate our message to our consumers. Again, logo design, that's going to be a big one where smaller businesses that can't afford or don't have the capacity to invest in human-made branding. There is always going to be option from now on in of logo design that is AI generated based on a few different criteria that someone will input, and out comes a logo. Businesses aren't going to know any better if it's good or bad. There isn't going to be that human insight from someone that does this day in, day out. Whatever, that's a decision for them to make. That's okay. That's a decision for you to make if you're a business owner. Then things like content writing, creating blog posts, social media content, creating outlines, scripts for you to be able to communicate to your audience. The blog on your website, your newsletter, your Instagram post caption, or the video script that you want to read for an episode of a podcast or an Instagram reel. All these things, AI again can help you there. Another one is brand tracking analysis. So if you're doing effective tracking of your market share, your brand consideration, your brand awareness, all these kind of metrics that help you understand if your brand is tracking well and growing, you can put these things into these AI, these large language models, to analyze how and why certain things might be happening, forecasting for future, how if we did this, how much would this increase, things like that. If you said, okay, well, my market share's 24% and we're growing 10% year on year, what is my market share going to be in 10 years if all things stay the same, or we have a continued growth rate of 2% year on year in addition to our current growth rate? Like that's where it could just help you as a calculator effectively. But analysis, just to really understand, okay, the trends are this, this, and this. Can it formulate an opinion that you can go, yeah, that makes sense? Another one is strategy planning. So if this is happening, this problem's happening, based on its understanding of other things that are on the internet that it can understand, what could I then do to solve these problems? Can it give me any tips or hints or direction of what I could do next? Or based on all the different facets of this is my target market, this is my segmentation, this is my positioning, how can I then go out and create some objectives that are actionable, that are time-based, all those smart goals that we want to create for some objectives and some tactics to execute them. It might just spit them out for you. Because if you're lost on ideas, it might come in, to save the day and give you some good direction to achieve that positioning, to help attract that target market based on your segmentation. The next is stock imagery generation. Again, this is a big one. The visual aspects, just like logo design, we can create images that look like real humans rather than those stock images that just look a little bit unnatural. I mean, these are going to look unnatural potentially as well, but might be more fitting of your brand, in your brand colors, in settings that make sense, and not using the same photos that someone else has used on their site. When you see the same photos pop up a lot, when you see photos that have been taken from a website like unsplash.com, I see some of the same photos all the time of stock photos. The better option, obviously, is always going to be photography, and this is where photographers are going to get annoyed, obviously, too. And then image editing as well. Again, that's another job in itself where we can edit images to our heart's content with AI and Photoshop at the moment. It's nuts. It blows my mind. I was really against it to begin with, and I've come around to the idea as a tool to assist rather than something to create wholeheartedly, 100%. And there's a whole lot more of these things where AI can really assist us or help us create things that can really help us do better branding. So let me give you a prescription here of how to approach this, Ellie. And for those of you listening and watching, how do we integrate AI in an effective way for our brand, for our branding services, to help us succeed in whatever shape, form of business that you're in. Now, I said before I had a bit of a negative view of AI, and if you have a negative view of AI and avoid it at all costs and want to keep it purely human, look, I would say stick at it, because I have this feeling that it might end, like human-made creation, hopefully, this is very much a hope, will become more valuable in the future. Where that human input becomes something that is treasured, just like books and tangible things that are now digital. When we used to be able to draw on, well, we still are able to draw on paper and with pens and pencils and markers and all the rest of it. But now it's all digital, like iPads and Wacom tablets and all the rest of it. People still come back to paper and pen because that tactile experience has a different feeling, has a different emotional connection that you can have. You can make mistakes. It's just part of that natural process of human creativity or a human process to make it feel more valuable. Just the same as buying, tangible books rather than, a Kindle book or an audio book. That tangibility, that feeling of flipping a page, zoning out, not having any digital experience around you. You might want to avoid this AI thing at all costs as well. And I don't blame you. I really don't blame you. But if you feel like AI can assist you, you're seeing these tools, you're going, hell, my competitor, if it's your competitors that are using it, or you just see the advantages of it, and you feel like it can assist in your process, I want to move away from create. I'd rather use AI as assisting, as a better prescription for you. My recommendation is really balancing out the pros and cons for if you are considering using AI to assist you. And there's 4 considerations. I've written them down here. Will it positively impact my efficiency to deliver to my end consumer? Okay. Positively impact your efficiency. If it's going to be a detriment to you, if it just adds an extra layer to the process, just makes it a little bit more convoluted. Sure, the outcome might be better, potentially. That's another criteria. But will it improve efficiency? Can it get me to the result quicker? Yes, great. The second one, will it positively enhance what I deliver to my end consumer? Will my consumer get a better result if I use AI? Will it be as valuable as me putting in my human input? Or if it's going to be a watered down version where it's not as great, it's just getting something out the door really quickly, is that really a value to am I doing my due diligence, giving my customer value for money and what they're hoping and expecting? Yes or no? Third one, will my end consumer still value what I deliver? So it dovetails into this one. Is my consumer going to see it, especially if they know it might be AI generated or assisted? Are they still going to value that? Are they going to see it as something that is of value to them when it's something that they couldn't create themselves and that's why they're buying from you, especially if it's a service? Is this of help to them? Is this of value to them still if it was something that they couldn't do themselves? And it probably is, because you've got the insight of how to create something that others can't. You get the insight of, if it's branding in Ellie's case, or you have a business service or product that someone else couldn't produce on their own, and you have the know-how of how it works, why it's needed, how it can be used, all those things, and you use AI to enhance that experience of what someone is going to get as a result of it, and that still remains valuable, fantastic. The fourth one, will it align with my ethics to produce what I believe is right? Again, an ethical question of if you're using technology for the right reasons, or if you feel like you're using AI and it's plagiarizing someone else's work, then again, that's the moral dilemma that you need to come to terms with in delivering a service or a product to your consumer, be it a client in Ellie's case, or a client for your own, if you have a service business, or a customer, or your audience. Are you selling them a lie with a photo that you're saying, yeah, it's real, but it's not really? Things like that. So if you apply this to the AI platform or task that you're using, and you use it in your process to brand your business or help someone brand their business, in this case for Ellie, you're going to know if it's worth it for you in the long run, just as much as it is for the short term. Because at the moment, we're getting this whole shiny object syndrome of, oh, you can do this and do that and do that. But realistically, if you match it to those 4 criteria, I think you're going to get a better understanding of if this is right for your business, if this is right for your process, if this is right by your customer. And I don't think it really matters on how or why or what others are doing, what other competitors are doing out there and what they're using AI for or what they're not using AI for. I think it comes down to your individual use case. Yeah. And there's also some caveats to this that I kind of need to touch on. There's 3 in particular. One is terms of use. One is the legalities. And the last one is disclosure. So terms of use is, are you using the AI appropriately for the right reasons? Are you able to use it within the parameters of that service? If not, then that might be something that's going to just turn that consideration off of using that platform entirely. The other one, legalities. Can you use this to register a logo? You might not be able to. You might not be able to trademark that logo. Or you might not be able to use that image for commercial use. So if you use like Midjourney or something and it says no, not for commercial use, you can't use these images for commercial gain. Again, it just becomes a nice little show and tell piece, maybe for an internal usage, things like that. And then the last part, the disclosure part, which might be more self-imposed on you than anything. But it might be something that, again, your ethics come into play where you want to disclose to your consumer, to your client, to your customer, to your audience, that this was created with AI. And you're seeing this at the moment with Instagram. They are putting auto-applied AI stickers or little things at the top of their posts to say this was generated with AI, or you can self-apply that tag's probably the better word, to your content to say that this was used, this used AI to generate the final end result of this post. But personally, my take on all of this, I think it comes back to AI being used like it's a bionic limb. Okay, it enhances my other bodily functions in that it's not doing everything for me. The arm isn't going to do every single thing for me, but I still need to use my other arm. I still need to use my back and my legs and my brain, obviously, to pick up a heavy box. But picking up that heavy box has become a lot easier with that bionic arm. It's not to say that I've lost my arm. That's a different kind of scenario, obviously. But it makes, that some tasks that little bit easier to do. Meaning that if I put it into real world context, if I'm going to use it to help me create a logo, it's going to be used to come up with ideas, to assist in that ideation process, to push a concept a little bit further into something that I might not have had the skill set to produce an idea like that. That idea might not have come to me without it. And this can come from certain inspiration. Like it'd be the same as going to something like Pinterest and searching logos that, for a cafe or whatever. And it shows you all the different logos that have been made from other people that are promoting their logos out there. And you take some inspiration from someone else. It's kind of the same thing. You're just asking for inspiration for something that you could then go on and create, not using it exactly, because it's probably against the terms of service most likely, but taking it and manipulate it into something that is unique, that you have created, and you can apply to your business or for your client's business. It's a bit like a junior designer coming up with a concept and you come in as the senior designer or creative director and push it that extra 20 to 50% to get it to something that is a resolved concept that will work in the real world. I see it this way. If you're going to use it to, let's say, even promote your own business, you use AI to generate an outline for a script or an article, use your, humanness, use your human voice and add to it. Make it as an outline rather than a full written out script for you and put your own touch on it. Okay, so you put your own voice to it, something that's recognizably you, inherently you, that you can do. I mean, obviously now there's tools where you can really put in a tone of voice and capture, this is what I would write it in this style. Again, this comes back to your own ethics again. But I would say try and put your touch on it so that makes it feel ownable. And that might even psychologically make you feel good about producing the content, that you put some ownership on it and can say wholeheartedly, this is my output. This is what someone can connect to me from my voice, rather than some AI bot generating it for me. I understand at scale, you're going to need this in some way, shape, or form in the future. You're going to see the benefits of it. But if you can put that human element, I think it will be doing better for you and better for your clients and customers and audience. Now, I will say that my hesitation is around new technologies, especially. He usually shows up or throws up a bit of a bullshit detector, where I'm not really sold on certain things where it's like, yeah, it's a great new technology. Everyone's getting really buzzed on it. And everyone's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But you want to see the real merit and value in it. You want to go a little bit deeper and go, is this something I can see longevity in? Yes, it has its pros. There is some cons. There is some fake value being built up. The value perceptions being, synthetically elevated. That was something I talked about in the last episode of this podcast. But I did see this in NFTs. A lot of people did. They saw it as just total emptiness. Why can't I just screenshot that artwork and put it on a wall? Why do I have to spend, $60,000 on this artwork that's an NFT, non-fungible token or whatever it was? It was just a little bit of bullshit. But I think I did look at AI the same way. And this is just a personal perspective, but I saw this as a thing to begin with AI when it wasn't all that great, especially. It could do these things and then do my job that little bit better. And I was like, geez, I hate this. This is really going to just rain on a lot of people's parade here, creatively, especially. Like, go away kind of thing. AI, go away. But as it's progressed and you start seeing the benefits, you start using this, it feels something different. It's progressed. And I see the way I see others using it, the way I see the benefits coming into society. There's going to be negatives. That's a whole other thing. But it feels like it's becoming a part of the zeitgeist of society in many different societies. Here in Australia, other parts of the Western world, wherever you are, I think AI has a part to play. And I think it feels like it's going to be something that is going to be sticking around. My point where I'm getting with this is that if it's going to be part of branding and marketing, so that you're not, so that you're not falling behind, that might be one thing, but at least that you are understanding what AI can do and how it might be able to separate you from the competition, for benefit, or how it will impact your business where you can benefit from not using it. You could have a leg up of saying, I don't use AI at all. This is what I'm doing. AI can't do what I do as well as what I do, or can't do it in the way I do. The output is always going to be uniquely me if you have a certain style to you, maybe. You're doing better branding, I think, either way, as long as you are understanding what you have in front of you to work with or not work with and position against it. That's big part of branding. What are you for and what are you against? Because I think you're either doing better branding with AI or you're doing better branding than AI can. That, I think, is the distinction. And that might be something that might help you in your decision-making, Ellie, there, in terms of how you could use AI to put it into your branding process, if you should or if you shouldn't. Have those 4 considerations that I said before. Let me recap them, actually. Let me go back to them. Will it positively affect my efficiency to deliver to an end consumer? Will it positively enhance what I deliver to my end consumer? Will my end consumer still value what I deliver? And will it align with my ethics to produce what I believe is right? I think if you consider those 4 key things with the caveats of legalities, terms of use and disclosure, I think you'll be on the right track to make the best decision for you. And depending if you're a business owner, not a branding service provider, I think this is just as much applicable to you, obviously. I've said throughout here. But at the end of the day, it is your decision, and I do hope that this helps you. And thank you again for the question, Ellie. I do hope that helps all of you listening here. Please take a piece of brand candy. That is my free resource guide to do better branding that you can get on your way out at g'dayfrank.com/candy. And you can also make an appointment via that link if you have a brand-related ailment that you want some help with. And I'll see you at the next appointment in my next episode. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening. The surgery is now closed. The Dr. Branding podcast is hosted by Reagan Frank McCrill, that's me, and for legal reasons I want to be clear that I am not a registered or qualified doctor. The premise for this podcast is that it is a satirical analogy for branding consultancy to help others with their brand success. This podcast is also sponsored by my branding business, G'day Frank. Say g'day today by booking a call with me at g'dayfrank.com.